with all of these topics in this course, you really need to consider each one of these topics in introduction. We could dive deep in managerial control and talk about things like TQM, Total Quality Management, and Six Sigma, which is a quality assurance program, the Project Management Professional, PMP, and it just goes on and on and on. Leadership is very much the same way. It's not only just really its own discipline, but I will tell you that the research done on it by itself, it actually is its own department. It's like there's a business department. There's actually leadership departments around the country. Gonzaga has a big one. But let me just show you a couple things regarding leadership that are very important for organizations. If you go through the list of leadership that applies or has been applied most directly to organizational life, you're going to find basically these four. Transformational leadership probably has the most research behind it at this point. Emotional intelligence, we're going to mention that briefly. Interactive leadership, that's kind of not only associated with like Texas, but it also it has a broader. The video that you're going to watch has to do with kind of this idea of leader-member exchange and how people get in groups and they form a collective identity. And then moral leadership, which is also big, which includes aspects like servant leadership. I want to show you this, though. This is a leadership tool. Again, there's so much leadership theory out there. And have you pause this slide right now and read through those boxes. Basically, what you're getting from those boxes is that when a leader or manager approaches a situation and they're wondering what type of leadership style they should adapt themselves to. So let me just say that again. You have a natural leadership style, but because there are certain environments that require you adjusting your style, how would you do that? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. What you would do in this case is that you would determine whether or not the task that you have to do has a high concern for people or has a high concern for task or both. And if there's not a dramatic concern for people and not a dramatic concern for you overseeing the task, you kind of have a hands-off approach. You don't really you just let the work process happen. It's pretty natural. People know what to do. They know how to do it. And there isn't going to be a lot of sensitivities around people. However, there's a high concern for people and low concern. The task isn't very complicated. It's not very technical. It doesn't need a lot of oversight. Human relations approach. If there's a high concern for people and a high concern for the task, you take kind of a democratic approach. You build support and participation. Or the autocratic leader, if there's high task concern, like you're building a rocket and you're the specialist. In that case, if you don't do a good job with the rocket, then the rocket will blow up and injure people, that kind of thing. So I think this is important. You're going to read about this in your textbook. I think this is used widely in leadership as it's applied to organizations. The other one is also very similar, and this is basically asking whether or not it's almost the same thing, isn't it? But it's kind of telling you how, not just your disposition, but how you really need to engage with employees. And so here, if you have if the task requires a lot of relationship support, high relationship support, but the task is not something you need to mandate, you have more of a participating idea, sharing ideas. If you have a high task concern that needs a lot of technical direction and high people concern, you'd sell the idea and so on. The Blanchard model and the previous model are used repeatedly in organizations, and that's one of the reasons I want to point them out. But also, what has come on the rise is emotional intelligence, and this is basically not only the ability for a person to remain emotionally regulated, but to understand that their emotions cue them in to certain knowledge and certain understandings that would be missed just by reason alone. So you can pause the video, you can read this, but this is in your textbook. EIEQ comes out of early research done by Daniel Goleman. There's actually, I wanted us to watch it, but it's almost an hour long. But you can you can Google Daniel Goleman at Google, and he talks about how very smart people in organizations aren't able to get tasks done because they have low emotional intelligence. That is, they don't know how to regulate themselves, they don't know how to read the room, where people are at and what they need, and so they kind of ride over the top of people and are not able to get stuff done. Okay, I just wanted to highlight a few things in this leadership chapter. I hope this was helpful, at least pointed you in the right direction, and I hope you enjoy your reading.